So we begin in Taiwan today, where a 6.4 magnitude quake has left at least 4 people dead and more than 200 injured after buildings crumbled and trapped people inside. A hotel was one of the worst hit buildings by the quake. Part of it crumpled into the ground, and you can see now the rest is leaning heavily to one side. This is the live scene in the port city of Hualien. You can see the Marshall Hotel there, leaning very precariously at the moment. People in that city have been warned not to return to their homes until aftershocks have subsided, and there have been quite a few substantial ones. Let's get more now from Andrew Plant.
Daybreak in Taiwan. The power of this earthquake now becoming clearer. Buildings partially pushed over, lower floors crushed. Here you can see cars beneath the rubble as emergency workers use ladders to smash glass, still searching for anyone who might be trapped inside. People worked through the night, rushing to help those trapped in their homes, fearing the buildings were about to come down. Here, a child is lowered from a kitchen window. At least 4 high-rise buildings are close to collapse, their foundations crumbling. After a violent earthquake which was close to the surface, it struck just before midnight, its epicenter a few miles off the island's east coast. This man says, "I just walked out before the floor collapsed. I didn't see where it fell to. Now there are 3 people inside." The reporter asks him on which floor. He replies, "We were on the 3rd floor. They are fine. They just called me."
We were all in bed and everything just started shaking. The bed started shaking. Everyone kind of started screaming.
One eyewitness described the moment the quake struck. Aftershocks happening even as she was being interviewed.
Oh my God. This is an aftershock. I'm sorry.
With several high-rise buildings badly damaged, many fled to the streets and the parks, away from the scattered debris. Roads have been lifted and split, and a local hospital damaged, with more than 200 people injured. By daylight, the perilous state of these buildings is clear. The tremors were felt more than 160 kilometers away. Search teams now using specially trained dogs to try to make sure that no one is left trapped inside. Tens of thousands are now without water after a quake which caused extensive damage across a wide area. The government here says the country has already suffered more than 100 much smaller earthquakes in just the last week alone. Andrew Plant, BBC News.
And shortly we'll be live in Taiwan to speak to our correspondent there, Cindy Su. She'll tell us all the latest in just a few minutes' time. But let's first of all talk about...
Welcome to NHK Newsline. It is Wednesday, February 7th. I'm Aichida in Tokyo. Rescue efforts are underway after a deadly earthquake in Taiwan. A magnitude 6.4 quake struck just off the island's coast on Tuesday night. At least 4 people are dead, hundreds are injured. Authorities are searching for people who may be trapped in collapsed buildings. The U.S. Geological Survey says the epicenter was about 20 kilometers off the coastal city of Hualien, with a depth of 10 kilometers. Buildings have collapsed and others have been left tilted. The lower floors of this hotel have been crushed. Local media report more than 130 people have been rescued from it. Local authorities say they're trying to contact at least 140 people who might be trapped in other collapsed buildings. There's been a lot of seismic activity around Taiwan in the past few days. The territory's meteorological agency has measured nearly 100 small quakes since Sunday. Officials warn the trend is likely to continue for the next 2 to 3 weeks.